What a fun song. Hey, y'all. I have a bright idea. Let's love each other. Yes. All right. Well, 2025, it's our time to thrive. We are experiencing as a collective what some call a great awakening. We're in the age of Aquarius. That song's been stuck in my head all day. Hey, I grew up on that song from my parents. I'm not that young. And it's a time of rapid expansion and growth and transformation and consciousness as we are waking up to our inherent power and potential. It's an exciting time to be alive, and yet transformation is not without its challenges, right? Bumping up against our personal and collective beliefs that no longer serve, the systems that no longer serve this greater idea of humanity and oneness. Moving from the ego-based understanding of life, that we are separate in this belief in lack and greed and power over, and moving into this universal perspective of oneness and love and freedom and peace. And Dr. Holmes in the Science of Mind text lays out this journey of transformation and awakening for us in the first 4 sections of the textbook. And it is this time of year where we often go back to basics, right? With anything that you have mastered or learned, perhaps an instrument or a talent, it is important to go back to the basics, right? To know those basics so that we can expand from there. So Holmes, we get to explore what Holmes was saying and how it applies now to our collective at this time. And he provides a roadmap of awakening, if you choose to apply it. And not just learn about it and read about it and talk about it, but be about it. That's what we are up to here at Ahava. So let's break it down a little bit. Here we go. We are creative beings. And we are experiencing our perspective of life, of reality, based on our beliefs and our thoughts and our intentions and our focus. We are co-creating with spirit, with this universal presence, this power of life itself, the thing itself, as Holmes refers to it as in one way, which is the very essence of who we are. And this isn't just an abstract idea, it's the foundation for how spiritual law, the law of life, works in, as, and through us. So the question is not whether we are using this power, because this law is always responding, whether or not we are aware of it, but it's how consciously we are engaging with it, right? As I say, ignorance of the law does not excuse one. And the same goes for the universal spiritual laws of life. Once we become aware, we are no longer subject to life from an unconscious point of view, but we become aware so we can consciously choose to direct our thoughts and our intentions and allow the law that always says yes to work on behalf of our heart's desires and what we desire to see and experience in the world. So let's take Chris, for example. Chris found themselves in what seemed to be a hopeless situation, working an unfulfilling dead-end job, struggling financially, feeling like they had no time or ability to enjoy the things that they really desired. They were self-soothing through alcohol, mindless TV, watching the constant news thread and feeling like, well, at least I have a job and somewhere to live and warm, so I shouldn't complain. So they'd fall asleep and in that place of complacency, wake up, start over the day again, day after day, as if on autopilot. Then one day, they stumbled upon an old journal in which they had written years ago describing their dream life. They described the work that they desired, that brought them joy and fulfillment. They described wanting to feel joy and peace and aliveness. They described the types of friendship and relationships they desired and the opportunities that they wanted to give of their talents and serve their community. They outlined the freedom that they craved. And reading that, in that moment, they realized something profound, that they had stopped dreaming, that they had stopped consciously creating their life and had started reacting. They had stopped dreaming and started reacting. Their thoughts had become focused on their struggles rather than their heart's desires and the possibility that lives within them. This moment, this realization, this awakening, you could say, from their past self, shook them from their sleepwalking way of living. And it was the turning point. They began consciously to focus again on their dreams and desires, turning off the TV and turning towards the narrative they desire to experience for themselves, and to walk in the world, noticing the beauty, the joy, the creativity, and the people that shared their values and had a willingness to talk about those things with them. They began writing affirmations daily, listening to uplifting music, and visualizing the life they desired. And over time, making healthier choices became easier and easier, and they couldn't help but want to give of their talents and to serve and to share this newfound joy that they found for life with others. They started showing up more in their life for themselves and in their spiritual community, surrounding themselves with others who had the same values of peace and joy and freedom and equity. They started having conversations based on possibility instead of probability. And within a year, they had a new job aligned with their passions. Their financial situation improved, and they felt a renewed sense of purpose. So Chris's story isn't just one person. This is an amalgamation of the many stories of the many people that I have heard and worked with over the 25 years that I have been in some way or another teaching the science of mind. And no, I wasn't 5 when I started. Don't do the math. So I've been teaching these universal spiritual principles, and what drives me is this story, is what I see, is what, when you look around this room, you all have shared these stories with each other, with me in classes and workshops. We are on this journey together to remember who we are and to live from possibility and potential. Now, that this doesn't mean that everything is going to be easy and simple, because what we experience is once we get to one level of, all right, now I'm living my purpose perhaps in the job that's fulfilling, then we have another opportunity. All right, now there's an opportunity to know myself more, to love myself more. Or perhaps, now I've mastered that. There's an opportunity to really get this idea of abundance and to let go of lack and limitation. Okay, now there's a new opportunity. Do you get the point? We are always growing and expanding, and there are infinite opportunities to practice this teaching, to live these principles in our lives. and then begin to share and serve and uplift others, not only by just being that example of life, of joy, of aliveness, but by holding the hand and offering a compassionate hug, smile, word, act of kindness for those when they need it, right? This story is all of our stories, and it illustrates the powerful truth that the law of life is always at work, responding to our thoughts and our feelings that we consistently hold. But we must first wake up, be aware of this law working in our life. We must first wake up and then step up and practice every day our spiritual practices. And then we get to make a difference in our own lives and in the world around us. For truly we are one. Yet if we have a passive relationship with our thinking, we become reactive. We let circumstance dictate our mental state. But when we take an active role in shaping our thoughts and align with that creative power within us, potential opportunities abound. Ernest Holmes beautifully reminds us with his quote, "We are chemists in the laboratory of the infinite. What then shall we create?" One of my favorite quotes, right? We are creative beings, and not just in the sense of making beautiful art or music or poetry. Our lives is the opportunity to make the art that we desire. We are creating our experience through our thoughts that we consistently hold, through our feelings that we engage in and our intention. Think about a time, and it could have been this morning, when we have let external circumstances or conditions dictate your inner state. Perhaps a traffic jam or an ice storm or a harsh word from someone that lingered in your mind all day. It's easy, it's the default nature of the way our brain is wired, it's the kind of collective way of being to live in that unconscious place of reaction to what shows up, instead of the ability to respond. We are called to pay attention, to wake up, and to remember that we are always at choice. And so to take responsibility, the ability to respond to the circumstances of life, that is where our power lives, right? Stuff's gonna happen, y'all. How do we show up in the face of it? And not just jumping to the, it's all good, right? We can take a moment and stomp and breathe and then we get about what we're here to be about and remember the truth and take conscious action towards that which we desire, no matter if there is a snowstorm or if somebody's saying what not about us. That is no thing when we remember the power that lives within us. On a cold day, we can't stop the wind from blowing the freezing air and stinging our cheeks, but we can choose whether to complain about it over and over and over, or put on a coat and gloves and a scarf, and then perhaps see if we are called to help others who do not have the means to put on a coat and glove and scarf. Because in 2025, not only do we thrive, but in 2025, it is together that we thrive. So let's take this idea further. We often use this analogy of a garden and planting seeds, right? So imagine you're planting a garden, and if you scatter seeds without intention, you might end up with a mix of some flowers and weeds and bare spots and things that you may or may not like. But if you plant with care, choosing the seeds for the blooms that you desire, for the food that you love, then you are creating a vibrant and intentional garden. Our minds are the same way. Whatever thoughts and beliefs we consistently hold are the seeds that we are planting in the soil of law that always says yes and responds. And just like a garden, it requires attention and care to cultivate the life we desire, right? This is the point where people can easily get seduced by the default way of living because it takes something, right? It takes something within us to emerge, to be conscious, and to make the choices that are for our highest good, and to listen and get still and listen to that inner voice, and then be intentional with our life. We've been working with this law our entire lives, but often without realizing it. So the good news is that we don't have to get it perfect, right? Like we don't have to be paranoid or superstitious about it, right? One single thought is not going to break our reality. One single thought of doubt or lack is not going to create that in our experience. But it's a pattern of thinking, right? It creates those deep grooves from a neuroscience perspective, the deep grooves in the synapses in our brain to when something happens, do we go to the fear and the doubt and the worry, or do we go to the possibility and the opportunity of what we desire? The beliefs we return to again and again are what shape our lives. And that is why waking up and beginning to become aware of what those beliefs are is so key. And our emotions, right? Our emotions are like a compass pointing us to those thoughts that need our attention, as well as our body gives us clues of where we may be stuck or have something to shift, transform, alchemize. If you're feeling anxious or stuck, maybe it's a signal to pause and reflect. What are the thoughts that are driving this feeling or this emotion? What energy needs to be moved from our body? What action am I being called to? And then conversely, become aware and start to notice and pay attention and reflect on your life, that when you are moments that you are feeling joy and peace and at ease, right? In those moments, where are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are you focused on? I know for me, it's when I can notice the beauty in the small things around me that I feel that sense of grounded assuredness, that sense of flow, and remembering who I am and seeing the world from that perspective of beauty and possibility. I mean, the sun this morning, y'all, on the ice-covered trees, it's like a magical winter wonderland. It sparks, at least in me, awe and wonder. And from that place, because I am willing to see the awe and wonder in life that others may be too focused on the bumpy roads or the ice in the way. But when we can focus on the beauty, then we open to something new. By making space to regularly check in on our emotions, our body sensations, our thoughts, we gain insight into those patterns, that which the law of life is always responding to, and then allows us to turn then gently towards the thoughts and the beliefs that support our desired outcome, fostering a more harmonious and fulfilling life. The law of life operates through us, constantly expanding its effect through our life. And here's the thing, y'all. The law doesn't discern. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't say, I'll do this for you, but not you, right? It just responds. So it's our opportunity and responsibility to become aware and heart and mind congruent with what we desire and what we're thinking in our life. And to have that single-pointed focus on what we desire for ourselves and the world. That vision of peace and possibility. Silence offers that opportunity, that sacred space to listen and to align more deeply with the creative process at work within us. It is in the stillness that we become more attuned to the flow and notice our thoughts and our feelings. And then we can choose to be more intentional rather than reactive. So I don't know about you all, but this last week, I was choosing to experience this snowstorm as an opportunity for silence, for stillness, for watching the snow fall, the squirrel trying to find their nut in the ice, for just simply being. It's similar to what occurred during COVID when everything shut down. And all of a sudden we had no choice because we couldn't go about life as usual and had the opportunity to be still and then think, what would I like to do now? What would I like to do now? I was able to keep up with my dishes, y'all. I was cooking. I was like cleaning, not because of, oh, I need to clean to do this. It was just like the spaciousness that occurred. And then the insight that came. And then I noticed that I didn't have as much interest as turning on the TV or going and doing things on the computer. The stillness offers an opportunity to make space for the infinite to be revealed. So this week, I invite you to engage in this simple but transformative practice. To do a little inquiry, whether you want to just think about it or journal about it or speak into your phone or microphone and dictate. But to reflect on this question every day. What I know to be true about myself now is. What I know to be true about myself is. Perhaps as you're walking or driving or getting from point A to B is another good time. Or when you're laying in bed falling asleep. What I know to be true about myself is. And allow whatever to come up. Don't filter it, right? Don't judge it. Just let it flow. But notice. In that moment, are you knowing yourself to be in lack and limitation? Again, don't judge, but notice that pattern, that thought is there, because until we become aware of it, we can't transform it. And then once we begin to become aware of perhaps those beliefs that we have about ourselves that are not so favorable or not in alignment with the truth of life that we know life to be, we can use that as an opportunity to begin to replace those thoughts and ideas with the truth. Whatever you uncover, lean into it. Celebrate it. Even if it's a thought that no longer serves you, recognize it as an opportunity to bring the unconscious to the conscious. And from that point, gently guide yourself into the awareness of the truth of who you are and align with your highest good. Remembering that the law of life operates through us, not outside of us, and it is in the stillness that we can align more deeply with this creative power, allowing it to respond to our highest intentions By becoming intentional co-creators, we move from a reactive existence to a life of purpose and joy and fulfillment. Are y'all interested in that? Yeah, no, I am. So the question is, what then shall we create today? Let us make space within ourselves for clarity, truth, and transformation. Plant those seeds of love and possibility. Trust in the law. The thing itself is infinite potential. The way it works is through us. And stay tuned for the next 2 weeks as we explore what it does and how to use it. Yes? Let's take it into prayer. So I want to begin this prayer by bringing into our hearts and minds those that are currently affected by the fires in California and Los Angeles County, by bringing into this field of love and awareness into our hearts and minds those that are affected by the bitter cold, perhaps without shelter, knowing that these two extremes are pointing us to something greater. And that it is with the power of love and intention that something greater can be known. So what I know is that there is one life, one power, one presence that is love, that is peace, that is wholeness, that is divine order. This one power and presence is the very energy and nature of life itself, the thing itself back of all things, that is experiencing itself throughout all of its creation. And so therefore I know that I am one with this love and peace and wholeness and order. For the very nature of life itself, this creative essence, this first cause, this spiritual principle, that which created me is within me, and I create. I create this day by choosing to know love and only love. By choosing to focus my love and energy onto the entire world and planet Earth and humanity, all those who may be suffering or in need of a prayer this day. I allow this infinite power and potential within me that is the very vibration of love itself to extend from my heart to all those around me and around the world. Knowing that peace is here now. Knowing that the resilience of humanity is standing up in our own power and allowing that infinite presence of life as love, as wholeness, as divine order, as freedom, as joy to be stretched out and surrounding the entire planet like a beautiful hug. This energy of love connecting my heart to all others, for truly we are one. Although we may feel separate in these separate bodies, the essence, the energy, the collective consciousness is one. So I have the opportunity right here, right now, to choose love and to know that it has a ripple effect across all of humanity and across the entire planet Earth. My energy, my intention, my vibration is that of wholeness, of peace, of love. And that energy uplifts all those in need of a prayer this day. For I choose to see the possibility, the pure potentiality of life itself, and to allow this love to rain down upon all of life. And I choose to listen, to get still, and to remember this essence, this power and potential that lives within me in moments that I may forget. I can take that moment to pause, to breathe, to put my hands over my heart and get in alignment with my thoughts, guided by the love that I am, and let that energy extend and radiate all around. I'm so grateful to know right here, right now, that peace is possible, that love is real, and that healing is happening now. Transformation is happening now. Awakening is happening now. I'm so grateful for the fulfillment of this word as I release it into the action of the law that always says yes. It says yes and responds right here, right now, saying, yes, my beloved, it is done. It is so. And we affirm it and claim it by saying, and so it is.